Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Welcome METV again today. And with that being said, everybody should have received an email yesterday from Tom Seguin outlining his challenge to help METV's day-to-day operations. If you have any questions, he did leave his email address on that email, so just please notify him that if you're a club member and you do make a contribution to METV, you let him know so he can match it. Now I'd like to call up Marvin Farrell. He is the director of the AMI Kids for Manatee County. Marvin will give his bio and his background here as he comes up. Let's welcome Marvin Farrell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? All right. As Brett said, I'm Marvin Farrell. I'm the executive director of AMI Kids Manatee. But I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about our organization and what we do. But before that, I'd definitely like to thank the Kiwanis Club for giving me the opportunity to speak today and kind of share what we do and the services that we provide. So thank you very much. Marvin Farrell, originally from Jacksonville, Florida boy. Graduated, went to Florida State University. How about those Florida State softball girls? How about that? Yeah. But played football, as you probably wouldn't imagine, and was blessed to be one of Coach Bowden's players and play on our first national championship football team. So that was pretty neat. Yeah. Also attended Nova Southeastern University, where I got a master's degree in education. I have three, my son will kill me, beautiful children. One is she'll be a senior next year and has already taken over the world. The other will be a sophomore, and she is not far behind. And then I have a little guy who thinks everything is about him. So, but that's a little bit about me, a little bit about our organization, AMI Kids. We were in Manatee County previously as Gulf Coast Marine Institute. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that, but we were in Palmetto, and we worked with young men, young women. It was a co-ed program, and those individuals had gotten in trouble with the law. And due to funding and circumstances, that program closed down. And years later, we have an opportunity to be back here in Manatee County again. 2 years ago, we came to Palmetto. And we were in Palmetto at the Tillman School, and that was where we resided our first year. And then after our first year, the school district said, "You guys got to go." So they moved us over to Harlee Middle School campus, and that's where we are right now. We're currently moving into Harlee Middle School, where I think the county is going to do a alternative education site in that building. But we work with at-risk youth, all boys, young men, ages or grades 6 through 8. Our objective is to try to work with these young men and turn themselves around. These are the young men who have gotten in trouble in school but haven't quite crossed over into criminal mischief, okay? Our program, none of the kids that attend the program have ever been involved in any criminal activity, haven't been arrested, no law violations. They're not court ordered to attend the program. As a matter of fact, it's all voluntary. And so we try to work with these young men, turn their lives around, get them going in the proper direction. But before I tell you how we do that, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Have you seen or know of a kid who has moved around 3 to 5 times in a short period of time, hopping from school to school? Or you know a kid that every time you get to home from work, they're already home because they either cut school or they were suspended. Or that kid who has poor grades and is behind academically. Or the kid who you always hear about just so happened to get into a fight today, or disrespectful to the teacher. Maybe even a kid who doesn't seem quite right, and you say to yourself, he might need to be checked out. Something's wrong with little Jimmy. And I ask you these questions because these are the types of kids that we work with. Okay? These are the young men that we try to work with to help them get back on track and to be positive and productive in their school setting and ultimately in the community. Okay? And what we try to do is kind of a 3-prong approach. We work with them educationally. As I said, most of them come to us and they're already behind. They've spent so much time out of school that their basic skills don't exist. And they have a huge uphill climb if they're going to successfully complete high school. Okay? And so when you have a kid that's in that situation or who's dealing with those kinds of things, if someone doesn't intervene, they're going to slip through the cracks. Okay? They're going to be at home while we're at work, and they're going to be wondering what's in our house, or they're going to be playing around in our cars, or and the funny thing about young men is we find mischief. Okay? No matter how hard we try to avoid it, we find mischief, okay? And a lot of these kids have found mischief. And so when they come to us, we give them an assessment to see where they are educationally. But we generally already know where they are educationally because they spend so much time out of school. But they could be anywhere to 2 to 4 years behind academically, okay? You're a 15-year-old 8th grader, and you're 4 years behind your peers. You're bigger than your peers. Doesn't bode well for me wanting to get up in the morning and go to school every day and try to finish, and just being honest. So we try to work with these individuals. We provide a real structured environment. We're a year-round school, okay? And I was telling Brett that any kid who, like now, I was supposed to have a couple young men come with me today, but tried to drag 2 middle schoolers to a function when school's out, and they may have to speak in front of a crowd. It's impossible. I'm telling you, it's impossible. So, but having a program for them to be engaged in is critical, because during the summer times, their parents still work. And now they have all this free time on their hands. And like I said, we find mischief, okay? But we work with them. There's no more than 15 kids in a class, so there's small enough numbers that we can work with and try to help. We provide them with a rigorous curriculum. All of our teachers have to be certified, and they work for AMI Kids Manatee. They don't work for Manatee County Schools. There's a computer-based program to give them an opportunity to work on some of their credits, and that's what we're going to do in large part this summer, but to work on their credits to try to make up courses that they've missed and to try to get back on track. Our goal is when the kids leave us is to try to have them 2 grade levels ahead of where they were before they came into the program. Depending on their effort, obviously, some increase more and some increase less, but that's the goal, to have them move 2 years of growth in the amount of time that they're with us. And that's no easy task. So it's good that we have up to 15 months that the kids can be with us in the program. It's pretty much a year and a half, and if we petition, we can have them longer, which some of the kids need more services and more time. So educational, we really try to work with them intently and try to give them some skills to help them get back on track. We do a behavior modification system. We believe in rewards and consequences in the program. The kids come to the program. They have a token economy, for those of you that are familiar with that, but it's predicated on the idea of if you do good and you do what you're supposed to do, you'll get rewarded. Okay, very, very similar to our day-to-day life, and sometimes they don't always get rewarded because we miss it, but that's the premise. They have a point card, and all my staff are responsible for reviewing that point card and giving the kids feedback based on that point card. They use that point card to buy things out of our store, to go on off-campus field trips, to play the, what do they call it, the PS4, which is hugely popular with these guys. I mean, it's unreal. And I think it's PlayStation 4, I'm sorry. I feel kind of good that I even know that right now. But yeah, that's what they call it. And so there's a lot of things that we have in place for them, but it's all about earning that, working hard for it, and doing what you're supposed to do. And if they can work on those skills and those habits over time, it'll be transferable when they go back to a regular school system. We definitely want them to transition back to a regular school system. That's the goal. That's where they need to be. Definitely a better, Manatee County has great schools, great middle schools, and so we feel like they'll get what they need as they transition on into high school. So we want to transition them back. That point card and the token economy and some of those incentives go along with relationship building. A lot of people believe that with at-risk kids, if I had a magic hammer or some kind of thing to just scare them right, it would work. Well, most of these kids have seen and been involved in more than you can imagine. You know, abandoned, beaten, abused, neglected. They've seen and endured a lot. So scaring them generally doesn't work. It just forces them to resist and kind of bow up. And so the relationships that you create with the kid is critical. A kid will do more for you because they respect you and they love you than they ever will because they're afraid of you. All right. And so behavior modification is in large part for us based on that token economy and the relationships that we build with the kids. And it's been working. It's been working. It works for me pretty good until they drive me crazy. But I kid. We also try to provide mental health services. We have a lot of kids who come to us and are struggling with depression, misdiagnosis, anger, management issues, suicide ideation, and they've never really had these things looked at. And in part, these are some of the things that cause them to leave the regular school setting. And so what we try to do is find resources for them, like Centerstone and the Family Resource Center, which we work with, to provide services for these young men and their families. And Centerstone is great because they send someone to my program, okay? You can't believe how many times I've heard my car won't start, okay? Parents do not want people in their business. And so they believe that if I take my child to get help or support, then they're going to be asking me a bunch of questions and getting into my business, and I don't want that. Instead of looking at how important it is for their kid to get help and begin to turn their life around. So the fact that Centerstone comes to the program and provides support, it's tremendous, and I'm really appreciative of that. But again, imagine being a kid with all these things going on in your head and going on with you, and you're depressed and you want to hurt yourself, and the person that's in front of your classroom, all they seem to really care about is whether or not you got your homework. Okay, it's a hard thing to deal with. I know a lot of kids are dealing with it, but some deal with it better than others. And so trying to provide services and support for these kids is a huge piece. The other thing that we do is we provide what we call family support. I have staff that's trained, they go into the homes and they work with the families. It's about a 10 to 12 week process where they work on trying to provide the family skills or structure on communication, aggression, time management, things of that nature. Ideally, we want to be in the home, but as I just said, and I don't want to contradict myself, that parents don't want you in their business. They definitely don't want you coming to their homes. And so we'll meet with them anywhere. We'll meet with them at Starbucks, the library, the rec center, wherever it is. But it has to be the whole family. It has to be the parent and the siblings, because change is not going to occur if they have to do it. Okay, so we work with them and we provide those services in an effort to try to support the family, support growth, support change. If we can get the family on board, the kid is much more manageable in terms of making the changes that need to be made. I'm sure a lot of you know that and would agree. And those are the services that we provide. Our goal is to try to work with the kids to make sure that they avoid getting further into the criminal justice system. That's number one. And then also have the tools that they can use to transition when they leave us and where they could be successful. College is not for everyone, so we also do some kind of vocational exploration with them to try to help them understand what opportunities are out there. And there are infinite opportunities out there for kids who don't feel like they can go to college. Brett was just talking about, was your son? Finished fire academy and is all excited about that. And so those opportunities exist for our kids, and if we can direct them into those in that path, they have a good opportunity to be successful and contributing members of our society. Right? That's AMI Kids Manatee. Hopefully you enjoyed learning about us, and I'll take any questions if you have them.
Coming back to you, or?
No, thank you for that question. We're only in our second year, but so some of the statistics I don't really have, but we have a lot of kids who are doing well. I remember a young man, he reminds me a lot of myself because he was a big 8th grader, and he was on medication. He had been up and down, and it was hard for him to balance. I remember one day he picked up a trash can and threw it across the room, and I was like, this guy's got to go, But we pulled him and talked with him through some of the Centerstone and some of the local agencies, helped get his medication regulated. He graduated from the program. He went to, I want to say Southeast, joined the ROTC, made the honor roll, and I have like numerous cases like that. Another kid went to Suggs, and I was so worried about him. Went and checked on him a few times. He was so proud. Because as I said, we're a uniform school. I don't allow backpacks, cell phones, any of that, right? So when I went to see him, he had his backpack on. He was out of uniform. He was like, Mr. Marvin, look, I got my cell phone, But the feedback that I got from the school was like, if you have any more like him, we'll take him back right now. And that was really, really, it did me good for him, but also for what we're trying to do. So I would say our success rate has probably been in about the 75% range, but hopefully this year we can get some solid data to back that up. We're funded through the Department of Juvenile Justice. As a prevention program, DJJ is supporting us to ensure these young men don't get into the criminal justice system. And as the Manatee County School District, they do a lot of referrals to us and support us from an educational standpoint. I think if we're working with these guys, it helps make the schools and the classrooms operate a little better, and then it also gives us some challenging work to do. 44 is our capacity, and we are aspiring to have mentors. We have about 5 mentors that come in. We'd like to have more, and this is kind of part of why I'm honored to speak with you guys today, because I want people to be aware of what we're trying to do and what our needs are. But a lot of parents work a lot of hours, and kids need people in their lives who care about them and who can support them. So mentors are tremendous, and we're definitely trying to build on that. Currently, we don't have any kids in foster care, but we could. And I say the school district refers a lot of kids, but foster care could refer, you could refer. As I said, it's a voluntary program, so we can get kids from, you're concerned about a kid that goes to your church or what have you. We can take that kid and do our best to try to work with them. But currently we don't have any. We had one last year, but we don't have any right now. 52% Hispanic and about 40% black, and then the rest, as my stat sheet says, other. Okay. We'll pick them up. But what I was alluding to is that when we try to set up appointments for parents to go take their kids to get mental health evaluations, yes, we do. We do give them recreation time or PE time. It's my goal to try to talk with the county to see if they would allow them, since they're not expelled or weren't on the cusp of being expelled, to give them an opportunity to participate in sports or other school activities, because I do believe if they're involved in something and engaged, they're going to be much more inclined to be successful and do what they need to do. So I do believe that's a big part of it. But we currently don't have that. As a AMI Kids, the company, we participate in several what we call challenge events. Some of my kids just came back from South Carolina, where they spend a week up there, and they're competing and knot tying and spelling bees and essay contests and science fairs, and they're competing against like 20 other AMI Kids schools. So that's something that we do twice a year. And next month we're supposed to be taking some kids down to the Florida Keys to get certified in scuba diving. And then finally, we took some kids last year to North Carolina to, I think it's pronounced Natahala, to where they get a chance to do some whitewater rafting and rock rappelling. So a lot of the kids are thrill seekers, and if you can show them or expose them to other things to help them realize that you can have fun and you could be excited without breaking the law, that's a big part of it as well. First, as I said, this is voluntary, and all the kids that the school district refer, they're struggling in the regular setting. Like I said, whether it's truancy, they're failing one class or 7 classes, they're habitually in trouble, referrals. I remember I got a young man from King, and when I met him, he was so nice and polite, and then I went to pick up his cum file, and the registrar said, "Well, I really hope you could do something with this young man, because he's gotten 30 referrals in 3 weeks." And I thought about that for a second. I was like, how is that even possible? 30 referrals. But to answer your question, all of these kids are struggling in their home school, and it's a mutual. So most of the parents, they'll come and visit us, and they'll check us out. They'll get a tour of the program, they'll meet the staff, and then they'll make a decision as to whether or not they want their kids to be involved. Because being that it's volunteer, I really ask the parents to be engaged and support what we're trying to do. Otherwise, like I said, it's probably not going to work. Yes, sir.
You're AMI Manatee, and you alluded to other AMI could you elaborate on the larger organization and how big is it and how where is it?
Yes, sir. Another great question. So AMI Kids is a national organization. We're in 10 states. Our parent company is in Tampa. There's 20 other AMI Kids in Florida. There's a few in Georgia, South Carolina. We provide what is called family functional therapy, where a mental health professional, licensed mental health professional, goes into kids' homes in North Carolina and provides mental health counseling to those families. We have a program in New Mexico, Texas, Virginia. So it's pretty broad, but there are different types of programs. There's residential, there's alternative, there's what they call day treatment, where kids are court ordered because they can't go to school. They're court ordered to those programs. So there's 5 or 6 different types of programs, but AMI Kids, the organization, provides services across about 10 states. And AMI stands for Associated Marine Institute. When we started, everything was based on marine engagement. So we took kids scuba diving, water samples, boating, things like that, and that was the foundation of the organization. But as it grew, they became wilderness programs and other things, so it was a little confusing in terms of who did what. So they rebranded about 10 years ago and just made it AMI Kids instead of Associated Marine Institute.
Let's give Marvin
Thank you
a
again.
round of applause. Don't leave. Marvin, it's a tradition here at the Bradenton Kiwanis Club to give out the Kiwanis Golden Rule. We want to give this to you to help measure your future success at AMI and the kids there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, wait. We'll get some more pictures down here. All right, with that being said, again, congratulations to Carol back there, being named one of the 50 most influential persons in Florida. Don't forget about the email that Tom Seguin sent out, and that was it. Please, if you're interested in being a mentor, I'm sure Marvin would like to get your name. So thank you very much. Christmas in August will meet in 2 weeks, 19th. Yep. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.